Hi, I'm Gabyo, and I directed the visuals for Krewella's new tour, The Body Never Lies. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made them. I've worked with Krewella twice before. We made a video for New World in 2017, and then I directed a video for Mana in 2019. I loved working with them, so when Fiona, their manager, asked me if I wanted to make some visuals for their new tour, I said yes instantly. We had a Zoom call, which I didn't record because I didn't think of making a video back then, and we exchanged about the visuals we wanted to make. Jahan and Yasmin explained to me the concept for the new album, which was driven by the idea that our body is a reflection of our emotions and life experiences. Therefore, I knew that the focus had to be on anatomy. Their aesthetic takes inspiration from both spirituality and technology. We drew a parallel between how we're all connected through the circle of life. You know, when you die, plants grow over your body that would then feed other beings, so on and so forth, and how technology also connects us together. Also, there's no better way to illustrate electronic music than to use the very same tool they use for their music, which is a computer. Hence why we had to bring in 3D graphics, glitches, etc., things that are reminiscent of a computer. Yet, at the same time, I noticed that they used a lot of handwritten writings, collages, and paper textures for their new artworks, so I figured they wanted something more organic and handcrafted this time. Also, Jahan drew these illustrations and wanted to include them in the visuals. I thought that would balance well with the computer-generated graphics we had on the other hand, and match the idea of connecting the physical and virtual worlds together. The girls were in LA and I was in Paris, so we didn't get a chance to see each other this time, except for when Yasmin and her boyfriend came to visit Paris in February. But that didn't mean I couldn't have them for the visuals. So I suggested we make virtual replicas of their faces. And for that matter, I reached out to Karim, who's an old friend of mine and a 3D artist, and that's where it all started. You'll see in this video we'll jump back and forth between 3D, shooting outside, painting, shooting inside, 2D animation. You'll notice that I switched between French and English. There are subtitles, but I hope you don't mind. It's the first time I'm doing something like this. I hope you'll enjoy it. Alright, let's go!
Salut, ça fait longtemps.
Salut, ça va?
Ouais. D'après toi, quelle est la meilleure manière pour obtenir les scans des visages des filles?
Je me souviens que j'utilisais Face App qui marche assez bien.
There seemed to be a great app, but unfortunately it got discontinued in December. I tried to find some other 3D scanning apps, but the results I got just gave me nightmare fuel.
Ou alors une série de photos et après il y a des logiciels qui regroupent toutes les photos pixel par pixel quoi.
Elles ont une fille à Los Angeles avec elles qui peut filmer, prendre des photos si on a besoin.
So we opted for that solution instead. I asked the photographer to rotate around them, eye level, high angle, low angle, and avoid any shadow. Then I sent the photos to Karim, who used the software to merge the photos together, which created like a flat image that would then be wrapped around the 3D head. It didn't look great at first, but after a few passes of retouching, I was pretty pleased with the result. Trust the process. Looks better, doesn't it? All we need is hair now.
Après bon les cheveux ça marche moyen, ça fera juste après quoi.
Tu peux prendre quoi, genre un modèle de cheveux sur internet?
Ouais le mieux c'est de retravailler les cheveux après quoi je pense.
These were the hairstyles that we needed for girls. And we came across this model that we thought could work for both. We would get rid of the long part at the bottom, keep the bangs for Jahan, and remove them for Yasmin. Change the color, a few things here and there, and then it was just a matter of adding the hair and we were pretty much done.
Les visages des filles, je voudrais qu'ils soient de face et de 3/4, avec des lumières qui tournent autour, un peu à la Henri-Georges Clouzot, avec des trucs.
Ouais.
Elles peuvent avoir une texture de peau réaliste, mais tu peux aussi faire un export où elles ont de la peau brillante, comme si elles étaient en métal en fait. Et j'aimerais bien aussi avoir le visage des filles en mesh, tu vois, juste le mesh du visage des filles.
A 3D mesh is the structural build of a 3D model consisting of polygons.
L'idée c'est aussi, tu vois, par exemple, qu'on ait le visage d'une fille comme ça, et en l'espace de 2-3 changements de lumière, bah, en fait, on passe à un crâne. Puis avec le mesh aussi, du coup, en fait, ça passe vraiment la vie, la mort, le virtuel, mais en gardant un peu la même composition de cadre, tu vois, avec le visage.
Ah ouais.
Ok.
So what I just said didn't really work with the skull because it didn't match the angle and the shape of the girls' faces, but it worked really well with the mesh and I was happy with it, so I didn't push for the skull.
Ah oui, il y a un truc que j'aimerais bien faire avec les face scans. Tu vois cette scène dans l'Histoire sans fin, les deux statues qui se font face comme ça. En gros, ce type de statue, mais avec le visage des filles à la place.
Ouais, je vois bien, ok.
Qui viennent vers nous, et des gros plans sur le visage des filles.
Behind the statues, I wanted to have a background that would emphasize the movement. And I remember this starburst effect that I've seen in quite a lot of videos, but recently I've seen it in a video with Doja Cat and one with Grimes. I put the statues on the background and then I applied some complementary colors on the statues. I tried a version where the colors were pretty subtle and a version where they were pretty bright, and I didn't know which one I preferred, so I just gave the girls both. I also wanted to merge the faces of the girls together and have hands going through the faces, because since we're in 3D, I wanted to take advantage of the fact that we could do things that were not possible with live footage. And also I really wanted to push the virtual aspect of it. And for this I also took inspiration from these photos of FKA Twigs.
Et aussi, voilà, tout ce qui est interface 3D, donc...
rajouter des rigs...
Voir les rigs en mouvement, voir le mesh, le côté un peu numérisation de l'être vivant, quoi.
Also, I was really inspired by this talk from Woodkid.
Il faut comprendre que parfois, pour l'œil du néophyte, ce qui pour nous est commun est en fait extraordinaire pour eux. Un mouvement de caméra à la souris, un élément de visualisation, ici des gimbals ou des grilles ou des repères de création. Parfois, l'œil technique, il censure l'accès à certaines images. Et en fait, ce film-là a eu beaucoup de succès parce que je pense que les gens ont eu accès à une vision de la post-production qui leur est cachée d'habitude.
By showing the creators' interface, I also wanted to sort of like break the fourth wall and include the process in the art, or at least like pretend. Because here I wasn't really showing my process, you know, I was deliberately moving things around, giving the illusion of a process. I don't know, there's not necessarily a lot of thought that went into it, I just thought it was funny to blur the lines. Alright, enough computer for now, let's move outside. I wanted to buy some flowers, but I was afraid I wouldn't get enough at a classic flower shop for the budget that I had planned. So I asked Victoria, who's a stylist and makes floral compositions, and she advised me to go to a local market. And there I got a lot more than what I wished for. I didn't want any identifiable faces besides Jahan's and Yasmin's faces, so when my friend Lara came for the day to dance, pose and help with the flowers, I made sure to only film her hands, her silhouette or in the dark. I wanted to have some henna tattoos on her hands, so I asked my fellow makeup artists for their opinion, and they recommended I use transfer paper and then apply some compact powder to decrease the glossy aspect of the tattoo and make it look a bit more realistic. As you can see, I switched my camera vertical because the subject is vertical. If you're wondering if the green leaves on the green backdrop was an issue, well, you can kill it with luminance as well, and it was good enough for what I needed. I don't think this really worked because the handheld motion was too shaky despite using a stabilizer, and the speed too inconsistent. I thought the concept was cool, but a proper execution would have needed better equipment. So eventually I didn't keep a lot of flowers or floral skulls in the end result because towards the end I was in a rush. I tried to combine it with other elements or make them work by themselves, and something felt a bit off. I know I could have worked it out if I spent more time on this, but I didn't have any time left, so I had to move on. That's usually what happens with this type of project where I have to combine a lot of elements together. Usually about 25% gets lost in the process, but I do need them in order to compose and see that it works best without. It's like a safety net and there's no regret. But I like those shots and I'm sure I'll use them for another project, so having them done already will save me time in the future, so I'm not losing anything at the end of the day. I don't think this part needs any comment, because the images are pretty self-explanatory, so I'll just shut up for a bit. Enjoy!
Samurai sword on my back. You don't know how to act. Maybe you should relax. Maybe you should relapse. Just kidding.
Here I'm cropping into the paintings that I scanned in order to get multiple frames out of a single image. So this camera records heat instead of light, which is a very different process than what I'm used to when creating images. As you can see, these are the highest and lowest temperatures recorded. Anything below it isn't recorded, so it's black, and I wanted everything to be on a black background. Obviously you can modify the settings, but that's what I wanted. And the resolution of the footage with this camera was smaller than the project, so I had to scale it up. So we played with cold water, hot water, ice. It was a pretty funny morning, we had a good time filming. And we stumbled across the mirror in my living room almost by accident, and I was so mesmerized by the result. It looks like alien twins dancing in front of each other. While I had the thermal camera, I wanted to use the opportunity to film some animals. So I went to the dog park. Initially what I wanted was something badass like a dog barking at the camera. But all I got was dogs pissing, sniffing each other's butt and fucking. The body never lies, right? I did get some cool shots, but I didn't use them for this project. Maybe for a future one, like what I explained with the flowers and the skulls.
On passe à la partie d'après. C'est des éléments isolés sur un calque transparent. L'idée, c'est de pouvoir composer un petit peu les trucs comme j'en ai envie. Qu'est-ce que j'ai mis? Alors, partie du corps, c'est pas tout le corps. C'est principalement les mains et avant-bras, squelette, cerveau, cœur, autres éléments, astéroïdes, planètes, des oiseaux, des fleurs, des roses, des tournesols, des hibiscus. Donc là, il y a ce mec-là, Bill Ellis. J'ai vu que tu le suivais sur Insta.
Ah oui.
Il y a quelque chose, ouais, tu vois, il fait vraiment des trucs de ouf. Et en fait, sur son site, en gros, voilà, il vend des crânes. Il a des crânes d'animaux, il a des crânes avec des cornes aussi. J'ai préparé une petite liste de liens, de trucs qu'on pourra acheter, histoire que t'aies pas tout à modéliser, à faire les rigs et tout ça.
We purchased models from ArtStation, CG Trader, Sketchfab, Thingiverse, Blender Market and Bill Ellis, the creator I just mentioned.
Je veux aussi des éléments qui soient, on va dire que la caméra soit fixe, et qu'il y ait du mouvement dans l'objet, puis sortent pas de l'écran, tu vois. Et que moi, après, je puisse prendre cet élément-là et le mettre dans une composition, le multiplier et faire les animations de mon côté, quoi. Faut qu'il y ait une cohérence visuelle globale, mais la cohérence, je vais la trouver en rassemblant tout ça, tu vois. Trouver la bonne palette de couleurs. Enfin, c'est vraiment de l'exploration visuelle.
Tu as les ingrédients, t'en fais une recette, quoi.
Exactement, ouais, c'est ça.
When I finally had all the assets ready, it was time to assemble them. There were a lot of trials and errors, and I was running out of time, so I asked a friend to come by and try things for me in order to save some time and see what worked and what didn't a bit faster.
Avec ces éléments-là, j'ai envie qu'il y ait un certain mouvement, qu'ils avancent vers nous. Et donc à chaque fois, en fait, la vitesse soit la même, l'angle de caméra soit le même, la directivité de la lumière soit la même. Tu peux avoir une planète qui s'approche de nous et moi, après, je mettrai un cerveau. Et en fait, on a l'impression que le cerveau fait la même taille que la planète.
Ouais, avec les dimensions.
This type of motion is also reminiscent of the video I made from Mana, which if you haven't watched yet, I recommend you do. I'm always pleased to see that the girls still play it on stage to this day. For the first logo, I took inspiration from Basquiat and the way he layers lines of different colors and textures over and over again. I also took inspiration from this girl's Instagram for the animation. I'm not going to explain or show my computer screen too much for the rest because it's kinda boring and it's the end of the video. Let's just watch the results, come on. Overall, I'm super happy about this collaboration. I'm proud of what we've made and I had a blast while making it. I'm so thankful to Krewella for trusting in me and letting me do my thing. In case you don't know them, go listen to their music, it's great. And go check out their social media as well. Maybe I'll make some other videos like this in the future, so if you want to stay tuned, subscribe to this channel. If you watched till the end, it probably means you enjoyed it, so leave a like. It will help the video become more visible. And you can also follow me on Instagram, that's where I post the most. So yeah, I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching, see you next time.